Close your eyes, traveler. Picture the sky not as empty space, but as a vast living world, breathing with wind and light. Above the drifting clouds, beyond the storms, a secret waits. Few have heard its name. Fewer still have seen its glow. They call it the Skyforge of Zeus, a forge hidden in the heavens, burning with eternal fire, shaping wonders out of light. Here, lightning is not just thunder's cry. It is creation's spark. Each strike is a heartbeat of the cosmos. Molten stars flow like rivers. Sparks leap from the anvil. They fall as dreams, as stories, as visions into the mortal world. This tale is not of battles, not of conquest. It is of harmony, of mystery, of the secret fires that weave our destinies. Tonight, let us walk the clouded path. Follow the glow of fire. Listen for the song of the hammer that shapes the universe. For in the Skyforge of Zeus, the cosmos itself is alive. Listen closely, traveler. Our story begins not with fire, but with air, with the endless breath of the sky. Mount Olympus rises not just as stone, but as a living presence. Its peaks stretch high, its shoulders wrapped in drifting silver clouds. The mountain speaks without words. Its voice is the mist, the sigh of wind through ridges, the laughter of air along the cliffs. On clear days, the whispers are gentle. They carry the scent of pine and wildflowers across the slopes, singing of peace below. But when storms gather, the voice deepens. The mountain breathes heavy, and its song rolls like a great drum across the land. The people in Olympus's shadow listen. They say the clouds hold secrets, drifting like messages from the gods. Some believe silence reveals the sky's song. What seems like wind becomes a melody, heard not by the ears but by the heart. What does the song say? Some hear balance, the fragile harmony of the world. Others hear time, as clouds vanish like passing days. A few whisper of something greater, fragments of creation itself, hints of a hidden forge beyond mortal sight. Long ago, before myths had names, the sky was wild. Winds rushed without reason. Storms roared without pattern. Lightning struck without meaning. The world was alive but without rhythm. No harmony, only chaos. Then the whispers began, gentle at first, a murmur in the night. They softened storms, guided winds, and gave shape to the chaos above. The whispers showed lightning where to strike. They taught rain how to fall. They carried warmth and gathered cool shadows across the seas. Slowly, the sky found balance. Slowly, life grew in its shelter. Mortals below watched in awe. They did not understand, but they felt the wonder in their hearts. They prayed to the clouds, left offerings on ledges, raised their voices to the wind. They believed the whispers carried Zeus's breath, the promise that order would rise from chaos. The whispers became part of life. Farmers read them before sowing seeds. Sailors listened before braving the sea. Even storytellers claimed their tales were gifts from the murmurs of the breeze. Children smiled when the wind touched their cheeks, as though greeted by a friend. The sky felt close, vast, unreachable, yet protective. But the whispers also warned. A hush before a storm, a restless wind before winter, a sharp cry rushing through the valleys. The clouds were storytellers, too. They shaped dragons, horses, and floating palaces in the sky. Children pointed upward, weaving tales from their shapes. Without knowing, they echoed the truth of sparks hidden in the heavens. And so, traveler, remember, before fire, there was breath. Before creation, there was song. The whispers of the clouds were the first hints of the Skyforge. The murmur before the hammer struck. The melody before the chorus rose. Tonight, imagine the clouds above you. Hear them roll and sigh. Alive with memory, they carry the promise of wonders yet to come. Traveler, we have listened to the whispers of the clouds. Now we follow them upward, past the drifting veils, into mystery. Beyond the storms, where the air thins and light grows brighter than fire, a secret waits the Skyforge of Zeus. It is not carved from stone. No mortal hammer could shape it. Its floor is woven from threads of starlight, glowing silver beneath each step. Pillars rise like beams of dawn. Above, a vault shimmers with constellations. Sparks drift through the air, humming softly like tiny suns. At its heart burns a fire, eternal. Not of wood, not of coal, not even of volcanoes. It is the first fire, the flame that lit the stars. The Skyforge is hidden from mortal sight. Clouds veil it, storms cloak it. Only lightning reveals its arches, its radiant anvil, for an instant. Some say it appears only when the world needs it. Others believe it is always here, waiting for those who seek with more than eyes. The forge is tended by Hephaestus, divine craftsman. His hammer rings steady, not with rage but with rhythm, echoing like a heartbeat. From here come no weapons of blood, no armor of war. The forge shapes wonders of balance, harmony, and light. Even the thunderbolt was not born of wrath. It was a spark of order, a bridge between sky and earth. Every marvel of humanity, every great song, invention, or dream begins here. Sparks fall as inspiration into mortal souls. The forge is never silent. It sings not the clash of iron, but harmony, flame, wind, and star blending into a chorus. We mistake its song for sudden ideas, for visions that arrive unbidden, yet always it is the voice of the forge. Legends tell of dreamers who touched its fire, a poet who walked starlight in sleep, an inventor who woke with designs he could not explain, a child who saw lightning not as fear, but as wonder, all brushed by the hidden forge. But with each gift comes balance. Creation must not fall to greed. Knowledge must not harden into pride. The forge glows only when sparks are used to lift, not to dominate. Harmony keeps its flame alive. Traveler, can you feel it? Close your eyes. Somewhere above thunder, a hammer strikes. Somewhere beyond stars, a fire glows. The forge is not only in the sky, it is in you. Every dream, every spark of creativity is a fragment of its eternal fire. To honor the forge is to honor your own light. We have seen the whispers of clouds. We have glimpsed the hidden forge. Next, we meet its keeper Hephaestus, guardian of flame. Traveler, we have seen the hidden forge above the clouds. But a forge is nothing without the hand that tends its fire. And so, we come to Hephaestus. Among the Olympians, he is unlike the others. Not swift like Hermes, not radiant like Apollo, not fierce like Ares. He is a builder, a patient creator. From birth, his story was different. Some myths speak of his lameness, of a body that struggled. Yet what others saw as weakness became the root of his greatness. While the strong sought battles, Hephaestus sought mastery. While others raced, he endured. While others destroyed, he built. The forge was his sanctuary. The hammer, his voice. The anvil, his heart. The flame, his companion. His strikes spoke in rhythm, a language older than words. His creations did not shout. They sang. Hephaestus understood what even Zeus admired. Power fades, but craft endures. A thunderbolt vanishes, but its balance and artistry remain forever. In the Skyforge, he shaped more than tools. He gave form to ideas. He spun threads of starlight into gifts that touched gods and mortals alike. Some became treasures of the heavens, crowns, thrones, and chariots glowing with divine light. Others descended quietly as sparks of creativity in mortal hearts. The Greeks prayed to Zeus for rain and to Athena for wisdom. Yet, unknowingly, they thanked Hephaestus each time they created. A potter shaping clay, a carpenter carving wood, a weaver coloring her loom. Each act of creation echoed his flame. But Hephaestus was more than skill. He was patient, steady. In a world of gods quick to pride, he worked with quiet devotion. Hours, days, even years meant nothing to him if the result carried harmony. The gods sometimes overlooked him. His limp slowed his steps. His soot-stained hands seemed too humble beside their radiant forms. Yet when they needed a gift beyond compare, something unbroken by time, it was Hephaestus they sought, and he always answered, not with pride, but with focus. For to him, the act of creation itself was sacred. His joy was not in praise, but in the quiet satisfaction of a work complete, balanced, whole. Legends tell of his workshop glowing like dawn. Tools floated as if alive. Flames curled not to burn, but to embrace. Even the metals seemed to listen, eager to become something greater in his hands. Sometimes mortals dreamed of his work. A blacksmith, weary, saw the perfect tool and awoke renewed. A painter glimpsed colors unseen. A child imagined towers of shining light. These too were gifts of the craftsman. Hephaestus teaches us that creation is not about perfection, but transformation. From imperfection, he drew strength. From brokenness, beauty. From fire and hammer, he gave shape to dreams. He reminds us that worth is not speed, nor strength, nor beauty. It is the heart placed in the work, the harmony given to the world. So when you hear a hammer ring, when you see sparks fly, remember the God who gave the forge its song, the craftsman of Olympus, the patient hand, the guardian of creation Hephaestus. And now, traveler, we journey further. The forge sings not only with his hammer, but with sparks that fall as gifts to the mortal world. Traveler, we have met Hephaestus, the craftsman of Olympus. We have stood in the radiant Skyforge. Now we witness its greatest wonder, the birth of the thunderbolt. The thunderbolt is no simple weapon. It is not iron, not fire, not stone. It is a bridge between sky and earth, a spark of order woven from the elements themselves. Long ago, the gods faced a world of chaos. Storms raged without balance. Fire leapt without control, and the seas groaned with restless power. There was light, but it blinded. There was sound, but it deafened. The world needed harmony. The heavens needed a voice. And so, Zeus turned to Hephaestus. The king of the gods did not ask for destruction. He asked for balance, for a symbol to bind heaven and earth, a flame to illuminate, a sound to awaken. Hephaestus listened. In silence, he prepared his forge. He summoned wind, starfire, and the rhythm of the seas. From each, he drew a spark of the world's first elements. The forge glowed brighter than dawn. Sparks rose like fireflies, yet heavier than mountains. The hammer fell steady as a heartbeat. Each strike a rhythm of creation. First came the shaft of light straight, pure, unbending. Then the fire, coiling around it, alive but tamed. Then the sound, deep as mountains, sharp as silence itself. The thunderbolt took form as harmony of opposites, light and shadow, fire and air, order and wildness bound together as one. When Hephaestus lifted it from the anvil, it hummed, not with rage, but with song. The air shimmered. Even the stars seemed to lean closer in wonder. He carried it to Zeus. The king reached out. As his hand closed on the thunderbolt, the sky itself responded. Clouds parted, winds bowed. A single flash crowned the heavens. Thus the thunderbolt was born. From that moment, it was no weapon alone. It was a covenant. Zeus carried it not to strike blindly, but to remind gods and mortals of balance. When Zeus raised it, mortals trembled not only in fear, but because they felt the weight of order. Lightning split the skies as a promise that chaos would not rule. Yet the thunderbolt was not always a storm. Sometimes it was inspiration. A flash in the mind of a poet, the clarity of a leader, the courage of a child's heart. The same flame that split the heavens whispered into mortal souls. For the thunderbolt was not born to destroy. It was born to awaken. Legends say, every true act of creation echoes that first strike in the Skyforge. A song, a temple, a discovery, each carries sparks of its eternal song. And still, when skies flash and thunder rolls, it is more than weather. It is the voice of Zeus, carrying Hephaestus' song. reminding the world of balance. Traveler, close your eyes. Hear the hammer's steady rhythm. See the fire's glow. Feel the rising sparks of light and air. Since the moment chaos gave birth to harmony. That was the birth of the thunderbolt. A gift not for war, but for wisdom. Not for destruction, but for awakening. A song of balance carried across the endless sky. And now, traveler, our journey turns again. We have seen the forge, the craftsman, and the thunderbolt. Next, we follow its sparks into mortal dreams. Traveler, we saw the thunderbolt born in the Skyforge, not as a weapon of war, but as a song of balance. Now we follow its sparks as they fall into the world below. The thunderbolt was never meant to remain only in the hand of Zeus. Its fire scattered, carried on lightning, hidden in storms, waiting to awaken mortal hearts. Some call these sparks inspiration. Others name them visions, muses, or dreams. Yet each is the same flame, softened for human hands, planted in the soul like a seed of fire. Imagine a shepherd on a lonely hillside. The night wide above, heavy with stars. A storm rolls in, and lightning strikes the earth. In that flash, patterns blaze across his memory. When the storm passes, he begins to weave songs of the sky. Thus the first constellations are sung into story. A spark has taken root in his heart. Imagine a young potter in her workshop. Her hands clumsy with clay. Her vessels crack. Her patience fades. But one summer night, thunder rolls, and she dreams of a perfect form. She wakes, her fingers guided by something unnamed. Her craft becomes art. A spark has found her hands. Again and again, sparks fall. They do not choose kings or warriors alone. They fall upon the humble, the dreamers, the forgotten. They fall upon poets, inventors, and children who gaze at the world with wonder. Each spark does not burn, it illuminates. It whispers, look closer, shape the unseen into life. Traveler, myths say the greatest human achievements began with such sparks. A temple rising from marble, columns frozen like thunderbolts. A ship crossing oceans, carrying voices beyond horizons. A story whispered in caves, keeping a people's memory alive through firelit nights. All these are echoes of Zeus's thunderbolt, carried from the forge to mortal dreams. But not all who receive a spark understand it. Some fear it, some ignore it. Others twist it into pride, building not in harmony but in vanity. When sparks are wasted, the world dims for a time. Yet the forge is patient. The sparks fall again, again. For every forgotten dream, another waits to awaken. The Greeks called this fire divine inspiration. They believed the muses carried it, whispering into the ears of poets and musicians. Yet behind each whisper, the forge's rhythm rang. Traveler, close your eyes. Remember a time when an idea arrived like lightning, sudden and bright. When a melody or image appeared as if gifted from beyond. That was a spark. That was the song of the thunderbolt reaching you. The ancients knew such moments were not accidents. They were gifts, reminders of heaven's nearness. The same flame that binds gods can touch mortal hearts. In this, mortals and gods share something rare creation. Both shape the unseen into form. Both carry fire into the world. The thunderbolt lives not only in Zeus's hand, not only in the storm. It lives in dreams, in visions, in every act of inspiration. And when mortals use these sparks with humility and balance, they echo the harmony of the forge itself. Each spark is a call not to dominate, but to awaken, not to destroy, but to illuminate. Traveler, remember this as we walk forward. The thunderbolt was born in fire, but its true life is in the human soul. It waits in silence, ready to fall on any heart that listens. Perhaps even yours, traveler. We followed the sparks into mortal dreams. We saw the thunderbolt living not only in Zeus's hand, but in shepherds, potters, and poets. Yet now, we must pause. We must listen to the silence that follows thunder. For every gift, there is a weight. For every spark of creation, there is the burden of choice. The thunderbolt is not only fire and light. it is also balance, and balance is never easy to hold. Zeus himself knew this truth when he first grasped its flame. The sky trembled with power. But power without restraint is chaos. Even the king of gods was bound to carry its weight with care. The ancients believed balance was woven into the world. Day and night, sea and shore, life and death. To disturb one side too much was to invite ruin. So it was with the thunderbolt. It could bring rain to fields, yet also flood them. It could clear the sky, yet also split the earth. To wield it was to walk a narrow line. The sparks that fall to mortals are not free of this balance. An inspired vision can lift a people or drive them into pride. A song can heal or stir arrogance. Think of the potter whose dream shaped perfect vessels. With humility, her gift becomes beauty shared. With pride, her spark darkens and the balance tips. Think of the shepherd who sang the constellations. With wonder, his gift guides others. But if he claims the stars as his alone, his spark turns to shadow. The thunderbolt does not punish, it simply reflects. Where there is balance, it shines. Where there is pride, it cracks. So the ancients told stories not only of power, but of responsibility. Even gods could stumble. Zeus himself was tested to hold the thunderbolt with restraint. For there were times when storms raged too fiercely. Times when lightning split more than clouds. Times when mortals feared thunder more than they welcomed its gift. In these moments, balance hung by a thread. It was said the Skyforge rang with sorrow, as if even the anvil itself wept. Yet always, the rhythm of the forge returned. Always, balance was sought anew. Because creation without balance cannot last. Traveler, think of your own sparks. Think of the dreams or ideas that once lit your heart. Did they come with joy alone or with a weight of responsibility? The burden of balance is not to extinguish the spark, but to guide it, to ask not only, what can I make, but also, what should I make? The Greeks believed wisdom was the anchor of fire. They named it Sophia. Without wisdom, even the brightest flame consumes itself. With wisdom, the smallest spark endures. So the thunderbolt teaches not only creation, but caution. Not only fire, but restraint. Not only vision, but humility. Traveler, the forge sings not of conquest, but harmony. Each hammer strike was measured. Each rhythm carried balance. The thunderbolt was born in that song. And so must it live. And so must we. Sparks falling on mortal hearts are invitations, not commands. They are gifts, not trophies. To carry them well is to honor the forge. To carry them poorly is to forget its song. The burden of balance is heavy, but it makes the spark endure. Without balance, lightning is only fire. With balance, it becomes illumination. Traveler, let us walk onward. The thunderbolt still waits in the forge, in the sky, in mortal souls. But now we know it is not just a gift of power. It is a lesson of balance. And perhaps as we journey further, we will learn what lies beyond this burden. Traveler, we saw sparks fall upon mortal hearts. We felt the weight of balance. Yet the thunderbolt was not hidden only in the forge or in dreams. Its echoes reached Olympus itself, weaving through the halls of the gods. When Zeus first raised it, all the heavens watched. Each god heard its rhythm differently. To some, it was a promise of order. To others, a challenge. To still others, a mystery too deep to name. Olympus was not silence, but chorus. Each god carried a voice, a note in the great harmony of creation. When the thunderbolt was born, it struck not only the sky, but the gods as well. Hera, queen of Olympus, saw it as a bond. Proof that Zeus's power was tied to responsibility, not conquest. Even kings must walk with balance, or crowns will burn. Athena, goddess of wisdom, saw clarity. She listened to its rhythm and heard foresight and reason. To her, it was not fire for battle, but light for thought. Poseidon, lord of the seas, felt it as storm upon storm. Lightning mirrored waves and tempests. He respected its force, but feared the chaos it could bring. Apollo, god of light and music, heard not a roar but a song. Each crack of thunder was a drumbeat, each flash of lightning a golden note. Artemis, goddess of the moon and hunt, saw wildfire, a gift untamed. She honored its strength but kept her distance, guarding the stillness of her forests. Hermes, swift messenger, thought of the thunderbolt as a bridge, lightning leaping from sky to earth, carrying messages faster than words could travel. Demeter, goddess of harvest, saw it as rain-bringer, a companion to the soil, a gift that fed her fields and brought life to the seeds she sowed. Even Hades, in his distant realm, heard the echo. To him it was a reminder that fire and shadow are never far apart, forever bound in silence. Traveler, imagine the halls of Olympus not in silence, but alive with these voices, each god holding a reflection of the same flame. The thunderbolt was not only Zeus's, it was a mirror to them all. The ancients believed these echoes shaped the myths themselves. When mortals told tales of lightning, they spoke not only of Zeus, they retold the echoes of every god who had gazed upon its fire. In one tale, thunder is the drum of Apollo. In another, it is Hera's warning. In yet another, it is Hermes laughing as he runs across the sky. This is why myths never agree fully, traveler. Because the thunderbolt was never one voice, it was many. The chorus of Olympus made its story, but even within the chorus, one truth remained: balance. Whether they saw storm, wisdom, music, or flame, the gods knew the thunderbolt carried weight. It was not given for vanity. It was not born for conquest. It was a bridge, a rhythm, a light that demanded harmony. And here lies the lesson. Just as gods heard the thunderbolt in many ways, so too do mortals. Each spark becomes art, invention, or faith, shaped by the heart it touches. No vision is the same, yet all return to the same fire. So when you hear thunder, remember, it is more than sound. It is echo. It is the song of Olympus, carried from god to god, story to story, heart to heart. The thunderbolt is not one voice, but a chorus. Traveler, as we walk onward, let us listen to these echoes, for in their harmony, we may yet find our place in the song. Traveler, we leave Olympus now and return to the earth below. The forge of Zeus was never meant for gods alone. The ancients believed sparks from the thunderbolt did not vanish. They landed softly upon human hearts, kindling a hidden fire. This fire was not to burn wood or stone. It was imagination, inspiration, and light that guided human hands to create. In villages, people looked to the sky during storms. Lightning carved across the heavens, and they felt a call deep inside. Some answered with art. They painted the world with colors. Each stroke echoed thunder's song. Each statue breathed with divinity. Others answered with invention. Tools shaped from stone and metal felt like gifts guided by Hephaestus' unseen hand. Farmers saw lightning as a promise of rain. Poets saw it as a language. Sailors read storms as maps across the seas. The fire did not appear the same for all. For some, it was courage. For others, wisdom. For many, it was endless curiosity. Myths tell us the thunderbolt was not kept in Olympus. Its echoes lived in mortal hearts, pushing them toward the unknown. Think of Prometheus, who brought fire to humankind. Some say his flame was sparked by Zeus's thunderbolt itself. Mortals became more than watchers of storms. They became part of the chorus. Lightning reminded them, heaven and earth are near. See it now, traveler. A blacksmith at his forge, hammer ringing like thunder. A weaver, her threads flashing like lightning. A singer raising her voice, each note carrying thunder's rhythm, all touched by the same eternal flame. Philosophers beneath the stars also heard echoes of the thunderbolt. They saw not only storm, but balance, order, harmony. Their questions forged not weapons, but ideas. Sparks of thought daring and bright, shaping how mortals saw the world. The Skyforge of Zeus was more than myth. It was vision. It was listening. A reminder that power Without meaning is empty. The fire in mortal hands was not about control. It was connection, a thread binding earth to heaven, mortal to immortal. And still today, when storms roll, the same fire whispers. It calls dreamers, makers, seekers of light. Every invention begins with a spark, every song with a rhythm, every vision with a flash larger than ourselves. The ancients knew this truth well. The divine was not distant but near, not untouchable but shared with the human spirit. When you see lightning, do not fear only. Ask what story it carries. Ask what dream it plants in you. The thunderbolt of Zeus is alive, not just in heaven but here, burning in human hands, waiting for you to shape it. Perhaps this is the greatest gift. Gods forged fire in the sky, but mortals learned to forge it within themselves. This is the fire in human hands, a flame without end, a promise that once kindled, balance and light will never fade. Traveler, let us pause now, in the quiet, after thunder. The forge still glows, but it speaks in silence as much as in flame. The ancients said that to understand the thunderbolt, one must first sit in stillness. For lightning is loud, yet its truest lesson lingers after the sky has gone dark. The Skyforge of Zeus was more than fire and storm. It was a teacher, a reminder that creation requires both heat and patience, both strike and pause. Mortals who felt its spark learned this truth. A blacksmith may swing his hammer with force, but without timing, the metal bends to nothing. A poet may write with passion, but without pause, her words lose meaning. A farmer may till with strength, but without waiting for seasons, the earth bears no fruit. So too with the thunderbolt. It dazzled with light, but its lasting gift was balance. The forge taught that strength without wisdom is wasted, and wisdom without action is empty. Even the gods themselves, so the myths tell, had to learn this lesson. Zeus carried the thunderbolt not as a toy of power, but as a burden of balance. For every time he raised it, he had to choose. Strike too quickly, and harmony shattered. Wait too long, and chaos spread unchecked. This, traveler, was the silent weight of the forge. Not the brilliance of fire, but the patience to wield it well. In stories, we often chase the blaze, the battle, the lightning, the flash. But the ancients whispered that the real story lived in the pause. They told of villages where storms had passed, and after thunder, people sat in silence, listening, not to fear, but to lessons hidden in the echo. Some said they heard the voice of Hera reminding them of unity. Others heard Athena urging clarity. Still, others felt Apollo's rhythm in their own heartbeats. Each heard something different, yet each walked away with wisdom shaped by the same silence. The forge, they said, is not only in the mountain, it is in the listening. Traveler, think of your own life. Have you not felt this? A spark of inspiration arrives like lightning, but it is in the pause that meaning takes form. An idea without reflection fades. A passion without patience burns out. The forge of Zeus whispers, "Let silence shape the flame." This is why fire and storm, though fierce, were seen as gifts. They demanded not fear, but listening. They invited mortals to slow down and breathe. For creation is not born in haste. It is born in rhythm, strike and rest, storm and calm, light and shadow. The forge held all these in balance. Even Hephaestus, master of the forge, was said to work not in endless fire, but in careful intervals. Each pause allowed the metal to grow stronger. And so the ancients saw in storms a mirror of life itself. Struggle, pause, growth, lightning to awaken, thunder to remind, silence to teach. Traveler, this is the lesson many forget. We long for brilliance, but brilliance without stillness fades. The flame must be tempered by quiet. The Skyforge of Zeus, glowing unseen in the clouds, carried this wisdom into every tale. Not to worship power, but to honor balance. So when you next hear thunder, do not only marvel at the flash. Wait for the silence. For in the silence, the forge still speaks. And in that quiet, perhaps you too may find your spark steadied, your fire tempered, your path illuminated. For the forge is not gone. It lives wherever balance is honored between action and rest, between fire and calm, between storm and stillness. The silent lessons of the forge are eternal. Listen closely, traveler, and they will guide you, steady as light after rain. Traveler, our path moves deeper. The forge glows brighter now. Beyond fire and storm, it carries one gift above all: balance. The ancients believed the thunderbolt was not only a weapon, it was harmony, a spark of both destruction and renewal, warning and blessing. Lightning could shatter a tree in fire, yet from the ashes came soil richer, ready to feed seeds that would rise stronger. So too in life. Storms may break us, but in breaking, they prepare the ground for growth. The Skyforge whispered this truth to all who listened. Balance was not stillness. It was rhythm, a dance between storm and calm, power and peace, creation and rest. Fire was its language. Even the gods struggled with this gift. Zeus, though king, often feared when to raise the thunderbolt. He felt the weight of imbalance. Hera counseled unity. Athena sought reason. Poseidon pressed for strength. Each voice pulled, yet still Zeus searched for the center. The lesson was clear. Even the mighty needed balance. Without it, Olympus itself could fall into discord. Mortals knew this truth too. A farmer saw crops wither in too much sun, drown in too much rain. Only balance gave life. A healer mixed herbs with care. Too much of one was poison. The right balance was cure. Artists whispered the same wisdom. A song too loud lost beauty. Too soft lost power. Balance made melody. The forge taught without words. It burned wisdom into life, with echoes hidden in nature, in craft, in dream. Traveler, think of your own steps. Have you not felt the strain of imbalance? Endless striving with no rest, or stillness with no motion? The ancients knew such paths could not endure. They spoke of balance as a flame that steadies, a fire that warms without consuming. Balance was not weakness. It was strength shaped wisely. A river without banks floods. A fire without care destroys. With balance, both bring life. The forge was not Zeus's alone. It was a mirror for all, teaching mortals and gods alike the art of harmony. Some myths say the thunderbolt refused to strike if wielded without balance. Cold and silent, waiting for wisdom to guide it. Perhaps this was the forge's secret. Even power must bow to harmony. Fire, without balance, has no voice. Traveler, listen now. The forge is not a roar. It is a steady breath. Inhale and exhale. Light and shadow. Action and rest. It asks us not to choose storm or calm, but to walk between them. Not to silence fire, but to let it burn without consuming. This is the gift of balance. A flame that steadies the hand. A rhythm that guides the heart. A light that endures. As long as the forge glows, this gift remains, waiting for any who pause, listen, and walk the path of harmony. So, when thunder rolls above you, remember, it is not only power, it is balance speaking. The sky reminding you to walk steady, walk true. The Skyforge of Zeus is not lost. It lives wherever balance is honored in storms, in silence, and within you. Traveler, the forge was not only fire and storm. At its heart stood something greater. Silence. In silence, the anvil spoke. The ancients said the anvil was carved from starlight and shadow. No hammer could break it. No flame could consume it. Upon this anvil, all things were shaped. When Hephaestus struck it, sparks flew like constellations. But between each strike came silence, and in that pause, the work found its meaning. For sound alone is chaos. Silence gives it form. Strike and pause. Fire and breath together they created. The gods themselves listened to the anvil's hush. Zeus, in doubt, came not for thunder, but for nothing. That nothing became everything. A mirror where questions rippled. and answers slowly rose, steady and clear. Mortals, too, could hear the anvil in dreams, in the hush between heartbeats, in the pause before words. A shepherd on a hill, watching stars, might feel its weight. A poet searching for a line might hear its echo. Silence was not emptiness. It was the breath of creation. In silence, the world gathered strength for its next song. Traveler, think of your own path. Have you not feared silence, rushing to fill it with noise? Yet silence tempers thought. The anvil teaches stillness is not the absence of life, but its root. Rivers pause in calm pools before surging. Trees stand silent before bloom. Even lightning holds silence before the strike. A breath where the sky waits. That pause makes thunder more powerful. Zeus knew this truth. He did not hurl lightning at whim. He waited. He listened. He held silence until the moment was right. Patience was its lesson. The ancients revered silence as hidden strength, a power that waits rather than rushes. Mortals who honored silence found wisdom. Leaders who listened before speaking built trust. Healers who paused before acting saved lives. The anvil's gift was quiet, but enduring. Noise fades quickly. Silence remains, shaping meaning long after the sound is gone. Some myths say the stars were hammered on that silent anvil. Each spark became a star. Each pause gave the sky its order. Without silence, the stars were chaos. With silence, they formed constellations, maps to guide mortals across endless seas. Traveler, silence is not to be feared. It is to be welcomed. It is the forge's whisper, asking us to listen, to wait, to shape with care. So when you stand in quiet, do not rush to fill it. Hear the anvil. Feel its weight. Let your thoughts find rhythm in its pause. Silence is where balance rests, where fire cools, where storms end. It is where creation begins again. The forge was not only thunder and flame, it was silence. And in silence, it revealed its greatest truth. All power must rest. All creation begins anew. Traveler, the Skyforge still calls. Listen in the hush between steps. In the pause between heartbeats, the silent anvil waits. Not only for gods, it waits for you. Traveler, we have walked far together, through fire, storm, silence, and song. The Skyforge revealed many faces, yet one truth remains, the flame that never dies. The ancients said this was no ordinary fire. It did not burn wood, it did not consume flesh. It lived on air itself, fed by will, by memory, by story. They told it was struck from the first spark of creation, when chaos gave way to cosmos. When night first kissed dawn, the forge kept it alive, eternal. Hephaestus tended the flame as guardian, not master. Each god came, not to claim, but to honor. For the flame belonged to none, and to all. Even Zeus bowed before it, thunderbolt in hand. Without the eternal flame, even lightning would fade. Power was nothing without its source. The flame was gentle to mortals. A wanderer lost in cold might dream of its warmth. A poet might see its glow flicker in thought. It could not be touched, yet it touched everything. It did not destroy, yet it burned away fear, leaving clarity and courage. The ancients said the flame carried memory. Every strike of hammer, every prayer, every story told by firelight wove into its glow. That is why the forge never faded. As long as someone remembered, as long as someone spoke or dreamed, the flame endured. The Skyforge was not only a place of gods, it was a hearth for the universe, a center where opposites met and found harmony. Fire and storm, silence and song, destruction and renewal, all lived within the eternal flame. Mortals carried pieces of it too. In courage to rise after loss, in patience to wait through silence, in laughter shared, in darkness. The ancients believed every soul was a spark of that flame, small yet eternal. destined to return to the great fire when the journey was done. So they honored fire with reverence, not fear. A candle for the dead, a torch for festivals, a hearth that bound families together. Each light was a reminder. The eternal flame of the Skyforge burned within them, within all. Traveler, you carry it too. In every choice, in every breath, you tend the flame whether you know it or not. Do you see now? The forge was never lost. It was never hidden. It burns wherever story is told, wherever balance is honored, wherever silence is embraced. The flame is in us. The Skyforge is us. When thunder rolls, when fire flickers, when silence stretches, remember, you walk in the glow of an eternal hearth. The gods knew it. The ancients knew it. And now, traveler, so do you. The Skyforge of Zeus burns still, its flame eternal. Its light will never fade. As long as you carry it forward,